Thank you, Shita, for introducing me again, and thank you guys for joining again today. Like for this amazing sessions, we will discuss more about into the depth of the blockchain, like cryptocurrency, smart contract, dApps, and all these things. Okay, so before moving forward, I want to ask from our audience, anyone wants to share what they have learned yesterday, like what is blockchain? Anyone wants to just describe what they have understood with the term blockchain and how we can uh, cut the blockchain into two different words like block and chain? And like anyone wants to unmute themselves and want to speak, like just a friendly discussion. It's not more like official thing or classroom thing, so you can unmute yourself and speak, because otherwise the session will be like boring one way conversation will be there. Yeah, the teacher is teaching and you are just listening and skipping all these topics. So anyone wants to just share anything, whatever they understood with the word blockchain, like what is blockchain? Anyone? Mm, I can't see chat box. Wait. Mm, okay, chat. Am I not? Am I audible? Right?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay. Guys, anyone, like if anyone wants to put any thoughts in chat, they can also do this. Put the thoughts in chat, or if you anyone wants to speak, like just unmute yourself and just go on. The definition could be right or wrong, anything. Just speak yourself. Like this is not an official platform, so you can.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, what I understood of blockchain was that blockchain comes under a decentralized system, and the word blockchain, as you said, it is made up of two words, like a combination of two words, block and chain, where blocks refers to the growing list of records,
Mm-hmm.
which are linked with cryptography, and each block contains a cryptographic hash, a timestamp, and transaction data.
Yeah, cool. That's the proper definition, I would say. Very nice, Arunima. So that was cool. So this is the thing, like guys, you have to unmute yourself and speak because no one is going to judge you, because you all are here for learning and like exploring yourself. Like yeah, so that's all. So anyways, I know I have been once I was an audience, so I was also not speaking that time. So but you can do that, right? So moving forward with the today's agenda. So today we are going to discuss about cryptocurrencies. What is cryptocurrency? Sort of how many types, which cryptocurrencies are already there in the market, and types of cryptocurrencies. Ethereum as a blockchain, and also Ethereum as a cryptocurrency. And what is smart contract, and what are dApps? Basically, dApps are what decentralized apps. So what are that? And how you can opt to blockchain as your career, right? Because everyone today, like everyone is moving to the ML AI thing and cloud and data scientist. And but if you talk about blockchain is a very booming technology right now, you can see, and there are a lot of openings and opportunity in the blockchain space. So yeah, that's a good opportunity for you guys. Like you can start learning blockchain and make a career in the blockchain space. And after that, we will have a Q&A. So without wasting time, let's start with the cryptocurrency. So basically cryptocurrency, you can say, is like something not related to blockchain, but it's more related to cryptography thing. Okay, so cryptocurrency can be assumed as a digital money, but that digital money is made up of you can say cryptographic functions, which are used to make those money, right? If you talk about you can say like, hey, I use Bheem API or a phone pay and Paytm wallet and all these credit monies and all these. So these are also a digital coin. And so what is the difference between cryptocurrencies and all these things? So hey, you can see like all these coins are like regulated by someone like cred who is owning cred coins or Paytm coins, Paytm money, and all these things are regulated by those Paytm and all those centralized companies, right? But if you talk about the cryptocurrencies, cryptocurrencies are not handled by any governing authority, but those are handled by some kind of functions, you can say, some kind of logic, some kind of programs. Okay. So if you talk about the correct definition of the cryptocurrency, so yeah, cryptocurrency is an internet-based medium of exchange that uses cryptographical functions to conduct financial transaction, right? So why we use cryptocurrency? If you want to just transfer some assets which have some values, so we use cryptocurrency, right? We can transfer it to you, you can transfer to me, and even we can purchase some thing with those cryptocurrency, those assets, right? So cryptocurrencies are assets, you can say. So you can say medium of exchange which use cryptographical functions. So because all those cryptocurrencies or tokens are governed by or regulated by programs, you can say. So yeah, cryptocurrencies leverage blockchain technology to gain decentralization, transparency, and immutability. Because as you can see, all these three are the pillars of the blockchain: decentralization, transparency, and immutability. Right. So cryptocurrency, like if you talk about the digital money like Paytm money and credit coins, so these coins doesn't use a blockchain. So if you talk about cryptocurrencies, when these cryptocurrencies utilize the power of the blockchain technology, so then the cryptocurrency gain its original power, you can say. Hence we use cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum and many more. Okay. The most important feature of cryptocurrency is that it is not controlled by any central authority. So this is the most important, most important feature of cryptocurrency, is that it is not regulated by any central authority. Instead, it is regulated by some kind of programs, you can say, the programs which you write in, like suppose you write a program in JavaScript. So a program, that program will control, will hold all the powers related to that cryptocurrencies, right? I'm not saying like you can write programs in JavaScript and those normal programs will regulate the cryptocurrencies. You need some different kind of programs that I will discuss it later. Okay, right. So even you can make your own cryptocurrencies. Yeah, that's true. Suppose my name is Satyat, so I can make Satyat token, right? If my name is Tom, I can make Tom token. Like if you have heard about Doge token, Shiba, all these tokens are what? These are cryptocurrencies. So why we call it token? So that is a different part, because these cryptocurrencies follow some standard of Ethereum. So I will not go into depth. Uh, but yes, that's true, you can create your own cryptocurrencies like within 5 minutes, I can say. Yeah, that's true. So moving forward, like the decentralized nature of blockchain makes cryptocurrencies are theoretical immune to the old ways of government control and interference, right? So as I have mentioned, like all these cryptocurrencies are regulated by these programs and not by any central authority. So these are immune to old ways of government control, like government can't control these cryptocurrencies. That is the reason government is planning to ban Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies in India. Not actually, they know they can't ban any cryptocurrency because they don't have that power of banning cryptocurrencies, right? uh, no government can ban any cryptocurrencies because they don't have any power. That's true. So they instead, they can, what they can do, they can regulate the thing, regulate the cryptocurrencies. So uh, yeah, hello. Okay, fine. So that is the thing, no one can, no government can control these cryptocurrencies. It's not like normal coin, normal Beam UPI, no, normal credit coins, money, or Paytm money. Okay. So cryptocurrencies can be sent directly between two parties via the use of private and the public keys. So yesterday I talked about some kind of addresses, right? Like every user on the node have their own addresses. So that address which I was referring to, that was the public keys, like public address, you can say. And any node or any, you can say, account, any user is uh, contains two kind of keys, like public keys and private keys. Public keys are those keys which can be shown to other and which are used to receive fund and send funds, right? If you want to receive any funds, which I think I will show you how to transfer some cryptocurrencies. I will just show the demo of that. So just make sure to remind if I just forget at the end. Okay, I'll show you how to transfer cryptocurrencies. So and to send the cryptocurrencies to some account, like public account, public address, you need a private key. So if you have private and public keys both, you can own the ownership of that asset, you can say. If you have 10 Bitcoin in your wallet, so and if you have private and public key of that wallet, then you are the owner of that 10 Bitcoin. Yeah. So that's how cryptocurrencies work. So these transfer can be done via minimal processing fees, allowing users to avoid the steep fees charged by traditional financial institutions. So yeah, yesterday I talked about, like, if you transfer, assume you want to transfer 1 crore rupees to my account just now. So you even if you have that sufficient amount in your bank, you can't transfer 1 crore right now. That's true, right? You have to some do some legal works and all these things. Even banks have limit, like, of you can transfer 1 lakh or 50,000 in per day on all these things. But and if you want to transfer via PayPal and all those apps which are there to convert USD to INR, they charge you very heavy tax, you can say, heavy fees, right? But if you talk about cryptocurrencies, there is a very minimal processing fees. Those processing fees are like only the gas fee which you pay in order to get your transaction done, and those gas fees are paid to the miners who mine your transaction to the blocks, right? Yesterday I talked about the miners who mine your blocks, mine your collect your transaction and put in the block and mine that on the blockchain. So what the miner will get, they will get a reward. So where they will get the reward? From the fee which are being charged by you when you are doing a transaction on the blockchain. Those fees or those charges are distributed among all the miners, you can say. So that's how blockchain works. Like, miners are also getting benefited, and also you are also your job is getting done. So that's how it works. So blockchain and the cryptocurrencies, like, transaction is all known almost immediately by the whole network. Yeah. So if you do any transaction on a blockchain, like, I will show you today everything which I will talk today. I will show you how to do a transaction and how we can see on the blockchain, and how much time it takes to get confirmed, like, hey, your transaction is being mined or being confirmed. So once you do any transaction of, like, suppose I send you 1 Bitcoin. So those transactions will be getting mined on the block, and everyone in the whole world can see, yes, I have done that transactions. So but it takes some certain time, like, when those transactions are being mined, because it takes time to get the blockchain mined. Okay. So confirmation is the critical concept in the cryptocurrencies. You could say that cryptocurrencies are all about confirmation. So yes, when you do a transactions, you need some kind of confirmation, like, hey, this is your confirmation. Uh, all these miners have validated your transaction, yeah, that your transactions is true. And once they confirm, yeah, this transaction is valid, then only your transaction is, like, approved and confirmed, right? I'll show you that thing. Okay. As long as transaction is unconfirmed, it is pending and can be forged. When a transaction is confirmed, it can be set in the stone. Like, it is kind of thing, like, when a transaction is confirmed, you unconfirmed, like, it is when in the pending mode. You can change it, right? You can change it. But once a transaction is confirmed and it is being mined on the block, it is once it gets uploaded on the blockchain, I would say. So you can't change that. That is immutable record. So once you send, I send you 1 Ether to you, and it will take around 10 seconds. Before 10 seconds I can change that, but after 10 seconds I can't change that. So that's how blockchain works. Yesterday I talked about already. So without wasting time, let's come to Ethereum, the most important part of the development phase, you can say, on the blockchain, because blockchain is all about the technology and the concepts which you are learning. But if you talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are cryptocurrencies, right? So one may argue like, hey, Ethereum is a Bitcoin. Sorry, Ethereum is a cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. So what is the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and blockchain? Right. You must have this question in your mind. So let's talk about Ethereum. So Ethereum is, yes, Ethereum is a cryptocurrency. I accept that truth. Yeah, but also Ethereum is an blockchain. Same as a Bitcoin, it is a blockchain and it is a cryptocurrencies on the top of that blockchain. I know it is confusing, but that's true. Ethereum is a cryptocurrencies and also a blockchain. So suppose Ethereum is a kind of blockchain same like Bitcoin, but on Bitcoin blockchain you can't make apps and you can't build any kind of transactions related to you can't do any transaction related to the development and all deployment of code and all these things. Only Bitcoin, what it offers is like you can transfer some assets, that is Bitcoin, to one address to another address, right? So Bitcoin is all about the transaction thing, like you can say you can transfer. It is a kind of electronic digital money. Yeah, digital money, you can say Bitcoin is a digital money concept. But if you talk about Ethereum, it is more than those digital currencies, digital money uh, technology. It is more related to the development part. So how we do development on Ethereum, I will just go into depth after this slide. So like coming back to the slide, like Bitcoin, Ethereum is a distributed public blockchain network. So yesterday I talked about like, hey, blockchain is a distributed ledger technology. So Bitcoin is also a distributed ledger technology because Bitcoin is a blockchain. Similarly, Ethereum is an also blockchain, and it also follows like distributed ledger technology. So it is more like Bitcoin. Okay. And although there are some significant technical differences between the two, the most important distinction to note is that Bitcoin and Ethereum differ substantially in purpose and capability. So, okay. So, the purpose of Bitcoin is what? Like I talked like, okay, just read the third point. It will get more clear. Bitcoin offers one particular application of blockchain technology. Okay. What is that? That is peer to peer electronic cash systems that enables online Bitcoin payment. That's all. That is the only application of Bitcoin which you will see right now in the whole world. Like why we use Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is nothing but peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So when I talk about peer-to-peer, it means my one node to another. Like I am transferring one Bitcoin to you, and so all those transactions which are done, that all are done in the Bitcoin methods, Bitcoin payment methods. So that is the only application of the Bitcoin, right? But that is the purpose of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is capable of only doing Bitcoin transactions, like only transferring funds from one account to another. But if you talk about Ethereum is more than that. On Ethereum, what you can do, you can write code, you can write smart contracts, you can write programs and run on Ethereum. And even what you can do, even you can transfer one Ethereum, or you can transfer Ethereum as a cryptocurrencies from one address to another address. You can also do that. So Ethereum is more than you can say more than a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, where you can write code on Ethereum blockchain, run your smart contracts, run your logical programs on these blockchain. So that is the most advantage, or this is the most important advantage of Ethereum. That's why we use Ethereum. So if you talk about Bitcoin was like the term was given by Satoshi Nakamoto. He is anonymous person or anonymous group. By he gave this term, he coined the term Bitcoin in like 2008, I
Hello.
guess. Yeah. Hello. Okay. Okay. So Ethereum is more than that. So I'll just go on. So hey Satyat, you mentioned like Ethereum is an cryptocurrencies also. So what is the name of that cryptocurrencies? Like, is it Ethereum? So yes, Ethereum is in cryptocurrency, but if you talk about Bitcoin as a cryptocurrencies, in the same manner, on Ethereum blockchain, we call it Ether. Like, yes, one Ether is like right now how much rupees? I don't know, 2 lakh something. I just don't remember what is the current value. Uh, just check out on Google. Right. So the cryptocurrencies, which the name of cryptocurrencies which are on Ethereum blockchain is like Ether. We call it Ether. So you can say it is a type of it is a cryptocurrencies, or you can say token. We say token because it is an asset through which you can buy or sell, or you can do any transactions on Ethereum blockchain. But the thing to note is that, like, you can't transfer one Ether to another address on Bitcoin blockchain. Only you can do that thing on Ethereum blockchain. So that is the limitation of the blockchains right now. There are more than I don't know how much are more than 100 blockchains right now developed by the companies like Solana, Cosmos, Atom, and all these blockchains are like too good. Like, everyone has its own purpose, own performance, own advantages and disadvantages. Like, even I can create my own blockchain, like call it Satyarth blockchain, right? And create a cryptocurrency Satyarth. I can do that. But the thing is, like, whichever cryptocurrencies or whichever blockchain has more power, like more user base, that cryptocurrency stays in the market. So Ethereum was founded by Vitalik in 2015 with his team, and right now we are using Ethereum cryptocurrency, Ethereum blockchain for development purpose, right? So beyond it, so it is a type of token that fuels the network. What network? Bitcoin, sorry, Ethereum network, right? So the first point is, like, in the Ethereum, instead of mining for Bitcoin, miners work to earn Ether. So yesterday I talked about, like, yes, miners get rewards in the Bitcoin when they mine the block. So that was on Bitcoin blockchain. But if you talk on Ethereum blockchain, the miners get reward in terms of like Ether. So one Ether is like 2 lakhs and some rupees right now. So that is the thing. So it is a type of crypto token that fuels the network. So runs the network, like cryptocurrencies? Ether. Crypto. Okay. Beyond the tradable cryptocurrencies, Ether is also used by application developers to pay for transaction fees and services on Ethereum network. So I just mentioned, like, you, for getting your transactions done on any blockchain, you have to pay some small transaction fees, and that is like we call it gas fee. You can no, service fee or transaction fees, like which you want to pay to, that goes directly to the miner in order to get your transaction executed. Right. The third point is that the third point is also same. There is a second type of token that is used to pay miners fees for including transaction in their blocks. It is called gas. So that gas is an you can say amount of you can say amount of something which we pay in Ether to miners in order to get your transaction confirmed on the Ethereum blockchain. So that is some you can say transaction fees or tax. You can say not tax. No, tax is only paid to the centralized government. Okay, so leave that. So okay, that's all Ether, and I'll show you what is Ethereum and how we can transfer one Ether. Just remind me at the end of this session, like that I have to demonstrate that. I'll show you. So now coming to the part which is most important thing in on Ethereum blockchain. So when we talk about concepts of the blockchain, like, hey, blockchain is a good technology we can use to remove the centralization systems and centralization authority, and there are some few pillars which are most important in the blockchain, right? All these things are cooler in cool, it seems to be cool, like, hey, this technology is very cool, right? Blockchain technology is very cool. But if you talk about the real implementation of this blockchain, so what it is, so all these real applications lies on, starts from Ethereum, right? Ethereum was the is the first blockchain, you can say, which I'm not sure, like, but I know It is the first blockchain which introduced some kind of technology on which you can write some code. So we as a developer, we are engineers, right? We what we are developers. We write code, right? We write shitty codes that eventually runs. So as a developer, what is our task? Our task is not to get involved in research and all these things, but instead our task is to develop something in favor of our society, and you can say companies and all these things. So you have to write good code and something which works, right? So blockchain as a technology, we can't do that thing. But Ethereum, sorry, Bitcoin as a blockchain technology can't do that thing. But Ethereum provides you the option where you can literally write some code and put it and upload. I will say upload, just don't take it seriously, and write some code and upload on your blockchain, and those code will be immutable. Like if you get any bug in your code and just upload on the blockchain, those bugs are like will remain there forever. It is immutable. You can't change anything. As I mentioned yesterday, like those are the blocks which are getting changed by cryptography thing. So once the record is like, you can say those records are contains the code which we have uploaded, so those codes are immutable. So that's all about something we can do coding on blockchain. But what is that on Ethereum? So Ethereum provides you the functionality of writing smart contract. Okay. So when I talk about smart contract, like it is made of two words, smart and contract. Okay. So first of all, the what is contract? So contract is something which is you can assume in the real world what we do with the word contract. Okay. We make some contracts like, hey, I will give you 1,000 rupees. Just give me some mm, what? Give me some laptop. Give me one laptop or something. Just 1,000 rupees for one laptop, right? So suppose and I and you made a contract, like deal. Just ignore contract. I and you just made an deal, like, hey, I will give you 1,000 rupees. Give me one laptop. But the thing is like, if I suppose I transfer 1,000 rupees and you don't give me the laptop, what it will happen? Like I'll be getting the scammed by you, and it will be it will be fraud by you, right? So we need some contract, like, hey, just make a contract, legal contract, like, I will give you 1,000 rupees, you have to give me laptop, otherwise I will go legal against you. Okay, so that is you can understand contract in those sense, right? So but in terms of mm, real world, like if you talk about real world, we need some third party to approve those contracts. Who will keep those records of the contracts? Any third party, you need a third party, right? Third person. Like suppose yesterday I talk about Jerry and Tom and Jack. So suppose Tom and Jerry made a contract of share exchanging products between themselves, but they need one person, third party, like who will keep record of those contract. Hey, yes, that's true, I will keep the record of those like they want to exchange some goods or anything they want to exchange, like cryptocurrencies or any assets. Okay, so we need a third party in real life, right? We need court, we need civil legal services for as a third party in real life we talk about. But the thing is like, we can't include a third party, we can't be dependent, like we cannot be dependent upon the third party, we can't rely on them. Right, because third party can also be a corrupt or culprit, right? So we can't do that. So what the term smart does is like, smart is something like suppose you write a contract, like if I will pay you this much, you just transfer those assets to me. So if we write that thing in code, because we know code, like something written in the code can't be uh, yeah, can be changed, but once it is uploaded on the blockchain, it can't be changed, right? So that is something more related to the smart contract. So it was just a basic idea what is smart and contract. Why we call it smart? Because we write contract in terms of code, right? So we call it smart. because smartphone, what is smart? Smart is like some kind of code or something, some programs which run and execute something, right? So that comes smart contract. So coming to the slide thing, smart contract is just a phrase used to describe computer code that can facilitate the exchange of money, content, property, shares, or anything of value. So this is what I just talked about. Like it is just a phrase. Smart contract is just a phrase or keyword, you can say, which just describe a computer code, which are stored on the Ethereum blockchain. Like currently, Ethereum is like good blockchain where you will find a smart contract. Other than that, there are more blockchain which are having a feature like smart contract. But the term smart contract is only available on Ethereum right now. So if you want to exchange money from one person to another, you want to buy properties, you want to buy a digital art on blockchain, you will just rely on smart contract, because smart contract doesn't involve a third party, right? So coming to the second point, when running on the blockchain, a smart contract becomes a self-operating computer program that automatically executes when specific conditions are met. That what I have talked about. Like suppose if I there is a condition like Jerry will give 1,000 rupees, then only Tom will give him his laptop. So this is the condition. So when those conditions are met, only then uh, the transactions are being executed. So that is the logical thing, that is the program you have to, that is the logical thing you have to write in your program and upload on blockchain. So and how you write a smart contract, that is different thing. I'll just come over it later. So coming to the third point, because smart contracts run on the blockchain, they run exactly as programmed without any possibility of censorship, downtown fraud, or third party interference. So as I've already mentioned, like anything that goes over the blockchain, those are immutable, right? So if when I talk about immutable, so those can't be changed. Like if you write a smart contract, you just write a code that a 1 plus 1 is equal to 3 and store on the blockchain, you just can't go and correct it like, hey, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, not 3. If it is deployed over the blockchain, then it remains forever. So and there is no downtime, because it is not kind of server based architecture which blockchain follows. So there is no downtime and no fraud or no third party interference, because you don't need any third party. For you the third party is the program. So if you write a smart contract, like whatever you have written the logic, whatever you have programmed, only that thing will be executed, right? So okay, that's all about smart contract. And coming to the dApps. Okay, so just I will come to these points later on. Just I will talk about little bit about dApps. So dApps stand for decentralized applications. Okay, so whenever there is a term decentralization, there is another face of a coin like centralization. So if you talk about normal application which you use every day, like in even I'm using this software, even I am using Facebook, WhatsApp, all these things are applications. But the thing is, like all these applications are what? They are centralized. So instead of calling them centralized application, we just normally call those things a normal application or apps, like hey, app store. So we don't call it centralized app store. Why? Because we know, like if it is app, it is centralized. But there is another different terminology which is decentralized. So when you talk about decentralized application, so whatever application that are deployed on the blockchain, that runs on the power that are being powered by blockchain, so those all apps comes under the, you can say, this dApps, right? So what are dApps and how dApps are made? So for making dApps, what you need smart contract. Yes, that's true. And for smart contract, what you need some Ether or Ethereum as a cryptocurrency. And for Ethereum as a cryptocurrency, what you need Ethereum. So you can see this is why I have chosen this format. Like first I will talk about Ethereum and Ether, and then smart contract, and after that dApp. So if you talk about dApps can be assumed as an backend. Okay, okay. I will just talk about this. Suppose you want to make a to-do list. Okay, I will just take a simple example of to-do list. So in to-do list, many of you guys must have made to-do list when while learning MERN stack development or full stack development, while writing backend, while learning Node.js, Express, and React, any technology which makes some logic, right? React, Node.js, anything for Node.js for backend and all these things. And if you're using MongoDB as a database, right? So you can replace those backend and database via smart contract. Yes. So smart contract will be backend for your application. No problem when you use React, because React is only for the front end thing, right? There's a front end part which you need for your application, right? But for the backend you can replace Node.js, Express, and all these things with basically the server technology with a smart contract. And once you do that, the whole app which you will make via React and combination of React and smart contract, that will be called as dApp. Okay, decentralized application. So basically if someone asks you, hey, what is dApps, so just tell him, hey, dApps are nothing but decentralized application. When we talk about decentralized application, any apps that consumes the power of the blockchain technology and which are decentralized, of course, so that are known as decentralized apps. And for in the decentralized app, there is a backend and blockchain as a backend. So when we talk about blockchain, we generally talk about Ethereum blockchain, right? So okay. So when you talk about, hey, Satyarth, you have just told like we can write a smart contract, and we can use smart contract as our backend for our dApps. So which language we use for writing smart contracts? Can we use C++? Can we use JavaScript? Can we use Java, or any language just like Go or anything? So hey guys, like, yes, you can do that, but not in smart contract. If you are talking about the backend as a Node.js as a backend, using if you are using Node.js and Express, of course, as a backend, or you are making a server, you just need JavaScript. But if you talk about a smart contract, you need a different language which is known as Solidity. Solidity, Solidity. Solidity is a language which we use to write a smart contract. Even we can use Python. There is another thing is like we can use Python also for writing smart contracts. We can do that, but generally we when we talk about the standard of the industry and companies which are using what language they are using, they are using Solidity. Okay, so I'll just explain that thing later, how you can learn Solidity and all those things. At the end, I'll just share a small thread with you guys, like which I've written in April or May while I was learning. So you can go that and just follow that thread of uh, that will be basically a roadmap, like how to getting started with the development part of blockchain. Not exactly, you can start with the blockchain and also with the development part. Okay, so I'll just share that thing with you later onwards. So okay, now coming to the dApps. So why should we use dApps over centralized apps? What are the benefits of using the decentralized Twitter, decentralized Facebook, decentralized Instagram over centralized Facebook, centralized Twitter, centralized Instagram? So why should we use dApps? So if you'll ask me, I'll share just uh, assume the power of the blockchain and how blockchain is like good for you, like how decentralized system is good for you over centralized system. The same concept is followed by dApps. So I'll just start with the points which are written over here in the my PPT. So first point is censorship resistant. Okay, so no single entity can prevent user from sending transactions. Okay, so hey, this was an amazing point. Like suppose I want to, okay, this PPT is, sorry, this meeting is being recorded. Otherwise, I would say, okay, no issue. Suppose you want to buy an AK-47, right? So, how are you going to buy that? Okay, you can't do that with your money in your bank account. Okay, because someone in maybe in like Dubai or any country like having supply of AK-47, suppose they will just transfer you. So how are you going to transfer money to mm, those people and you will buy AK-47? You can't do that, right? Because you will be getting traced by uh, the government in single day or in within an hour. Like they can trace you and they'll just arrive at you, knock at your door. Hey, come on, hey, AK-47 guy, come on. So you can't. That is the thing. But if you talk about cryptocurrencies, you can do that. So that is the reason, like many people use cryptocurrencies and all these things for you can say black money kind of thing. Like they use cryptocurrencies as a black money. So I would just recommend don't involve in that. But yes, these are done like regularly by normal people, like big people. Okay, I will not go into the depth. So now coming back to the topic, like, hey, how if you talk about dApps, you can, there is no single entity which can prevent you from sending transactions. Okay, so if you are doing transaction, there is a, if you are doing a transaction on phone pay, there is a bank limit, like, hey, you can transfer only 50,000 rupees in single day, right? So but if you talk about dApps, normal dApps, you, there is no limit, like how much you, how much assets you want to transfer. Even you can transfer 1 Bitcoin, 10 Bitcoin, even 1,000 Bitcoin to anyone in just a single transaction. You can do that. Crore rupees, Arab rupees, I don't know how much rupees you can transfer in a single transfer using dApps. You can do that. Okay, and no one will, no one is going to prevent you, because of course blockchain is not controlled by a single authority, right? So the second point is data integrity. So data stored in the blockchain cannot be altered or deleted, immutable. So I don't think there is a need to explain this point, because this point is, I'm guessing you, this point is already clear to you, because blockchain is immutable. So any data stored on the dApps can't be deleted, can't be altered, can't be is immutable, right? So only you can store data, upload data, and play it, play with it, the data, right? The third point is trustless. The smart contracts are guaranteed to execute in a predictable ways, anonymous code without the need to trust the central authority, that is bank. Yes, guys. So bank is a central authority. So you don't need bank to to do anything. Like you, it is trustless. You can say you don't need to trust bank. Hey, bank server is down, so I, no, I'll not go with the downtime. So, but smart contracts are the thing, like in the way the smart contract are written, whatever program you have written, whatever logic you have written in the smart contract, only in that order those smart contract, those things will be getting executed. Okay, so that's trustless, you don't need any third party, right? And the fourth point is open network, reduces barrier and allows for healthy competition. So mm, how I can explain this thing? Okay, there are many apps, dApps, sorry, dApps, which are like you can play gambling. Okay, we can, where you can do gambling, online gambling, and there is no barriers or anything which is going to stop you, and you can do that thing. So basically, dApps are like some kind of, you can say, open network, like anyone can perform transactions. Suppose a boy of age 9 years want to do gambling, right? Want to do gambling, he can do that on dApps. He can do, because there is no restrictions on the blockchain, because no one is going to ask for your KYC, no one is going to ask for your age. You can just open your website and do transactions. All you need is some cryptocurrencies. That's all you need. Okay, So auditable, so all codes are verified and audited at any time. So when I talk about audited, so I'll just explain you later what is auditing. So basically it is a kind of thing like you, because I have mentioned like, hey, smart contracts are immutable once it is deployed on the blockchain. So what if the company, what if the user have written the wrong code and uploaded on the blockchain? So we can't change that, right? It may have some kind of bugs, because every company or every apps which we use, we see, so have some kind of bugs and they need some kind of upgrade, right? So how we can upgrade that? So before uploading any smart contract over blockchain, what we do, we get our smart contract being audited, being checked, being security checked by some kind of companies, auditing companies, which basically checks for if there is some kind of vulnerability, some kind of bugs which are present in your smart contract. So before uploading any contract on smart contract, before uploading smart contract over blockchain, the developers do some kind of auditing, internal auditing, external auditing. Their code is getting audited by some 2 or 3 organizations, and they just verify, hey, your code doesn't contain any bug. And once those codes are being audited, and then only they deploy their smart contract over the main network, main blockchain. So that's about auditing thing. So now the second last point, zero downtime. So I don't think there is a need to explain this thing, because smart contract is deployed on the blockchain, and blockchain is like having zero downtime feature, because there is no server kind of thing which will get crashed. Hey, server error, internal server error. No, you won't getting error 50500. Okay, that is internal server error. You won't be getting it. And the last point is high security. There is no server to hack. That's all. That's all, man. Because you can't hack smart contracts. Like, there is no server to hack. You don't have the access to server kind of thing to hack. But the thing is, like, if you find any vulnerabilities, any bug in any deployed smart contract, you can steal thousands and millions of the cryptocurrencies from that protocol or that apps. So that is the different thing. So that's why we use auditing thing. So I think I have explained and I have covered all the things related to the development part, and how we can use Ethereum blockchain as a development thing, covering from starting from the cryptocurrencies and blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and Ethereum as an cryptocurrencies and Ethereum as a blockchain, Ether, what is Ether or token, all these things, smart contracts, and solidity in the smart contract. And last we talked about the dApp thing. So the last thing which is remaining in today's session is like, what skills do you need in order to getting involved in the blockchain space as your career, like how you can opt blockchain as your career. Like, because you can see there are people like machine learning, uh, data scientists, AI developers, and I don't know what they call themselves, blockchain for full stack developer, app developer. uh, there are multiple roles. There are multiple fields in computer science right now. But suppose you want to become a blockchain developer, blockchain engineer. Apart from software engineer, everyone is running behind SD, software development engineer. But so what if you want to become a blockchain engineer, and how you can do that, and what are the opportunities there are? So the main skills which are required in any kind of engineering thing, if you are a developer, what you need software engineering practices like clean code. You should have the talent to write a clean code, good design, writing test cases and testing, and you need to learn some front end skills like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and all these things, because every development thing contains some kind of UI thing. So you should have those skills, of course. Developer toolings like IDs like Sublime or VS Code, or any kind of text editor, or you can say environment, right? test framework, because if you are writing a smart contract, there is a need of testing those smart contracts. And even if you talk about normal development, so you need some testing frameworks like Mocha, Chai, Jest, Facebook Jest. So there are multiple libraries and frameworks which we use regularly in order to test our whatever code we have written, right? And other school skills are like distributed system, and of course you are getting involved in the uh, space of blockchain, so you should have those skills. And now these are some common skills which you need in order to become a developer, like any developer, like software developer, front end developer, full stack developer. So these are some skills which you require, like these are the common skills. So Satyarth, what is the new skills which we need in order to become a blockchain developer, right? So the new skills are like Solidity as a language. Okay, the first thing is like you have to learn Solidity. If you are talking about blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, you must learn Solidity as a language. Okay. And the second thing is deployment. So once you have written a smart contract in the Solidity language, the second part is uh, you have to deploy those smart contracts on the blockchain. So in order to do that, there are multiple tools and frameworks which are available in the market, which we use in order to get our smart contract deployed. Like, so these are some skills which you need. So the third is open source development. So hey man, the open source development is the common thing which every developer must be involved with. Okay, so just go, and because Bitcoin or Ethereum, everything is like open. Their source code is available. If you want to see, hey, hey, guys, to be honest, if you want to see like what is Bitcoin and what code are there in the Bitcoin blockchain, just Google out Bitcoin and GitHub, Bitcoin GitHub. You will just get a repo of original Bitcoin repo. Like it would be like around 2012, 2013. I don't know. I'll just Google it right now and show you. So just go and search that thing. And if you talk about Ethereum, Ethereum is also open source. Man, so everything on blockchain is like mostly open source. You can contribute over there. If you want to add a new feature on the Ethereum, just go on and contribute there. So you can do that. Security, and of course smart contract are like are immutables once they are deployed on the blockchain. So there is a major need of like huge need of security thing. You can't write shitty code. You can't have your code having multiple bugs and vulnerabilities. You have to write a clean code and the smart contract which are free from the those bugs and vulnerabilities, right? And the last is token economics. So token economics is something related to the mathematical term, so I will just not go into that depth. So if you're now coming to the opportunities, so the opportunities which are available in the blockchain, so those are few, these are the few opportunities which are commonly available in the blockchain space. The first one is finance. So if you talk about centralized finance, there are banking and insurance companies and all these things, industry level thing. So when it comes to the DeFi is very largest scope of blockchain right now, decentralized finance. So currently now, if I talk about myself, I am already involved in the DeFi space. I am working on the smart contract developer on. I'm writing smart contracts for DeFi thing. Like we are building a protocol on DeFi where you can exchange tokens. Like suppose you give me Bitcoin, I will give you Ethereum. So we are building that kind of protocol. So these all these things like where you can stake your token and earn interest, where you can borrow tokens. Yes, you heard it right. Even you can borrow Ethereum if you pay USD, right? You can do that. If you don't have that much of Ethereum, if you want to take loan. Suppose if you go in the bank and you want to uh, take loan of 1 crore rupees, one suppose 1 lakh rupees, you want to take loan from bank. What you do, you deposit some collaterals, like you just give your bank sorry home documents and car documents to deposit those documents to bank, and then you uh, take loan from that bank, right? 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees, and all these things. So the same thing can be done in these financial blockchain define DeFi, you can say decentralized finance, where you can borrow some kind of cryptocurrencies, where you can deposit some kind of collateral, and those collateral will be another kind of cryptocurrencies. Suppose you want to get Ethereum, so you can deposit USDT. So USDT is a stable coin, so you can deposit that and get Ethereum. So that kind of finance is like, this is a good scope, I would say. Just go and search DeFi and opportunities, like you will get a lot of protocols and all these things. And the second thing which are booming right now is the gaming thing, right? So gaming is, you can say, yes, you can play games on blockchain. Suppose you are playing Valorant, like I know many of you guys are play Valorant and CS:GO, right? And even PUBG. So what you do, suppose you want to buy an skin of your AK-47, right? So what you do, you just pay some rupees and you just get a new skin for your uh, for your gun, right? So that money which you pay to CS:GO, Valorant company or PUBG company, so those uh, currencies are what? They are Indian rupees or USD. Sorry, yeah, USD, dollar or Indian rupees. But if you talk about gaming on the blockchain, for buying skins, buying guns, buying different tools or anything in the game, the assets which are available in the game, you pay the amount asset in cryptocurrencies. You pay Ethereum, and you will get a skin for your AK-47, even for your skin for your body. You can get clothes, that is a real assets, oh sorry, digital assets, when you pay cryptocurrencies as an assets. So you can do that, right? Third is security auditor thing. So this is the very, 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 very important opportunity right now in the market, because those security auditors are very, this, I would say, this opportunity is very, this field is very hard to explore, because you can't just miss a single vulnerabilities. You should have a good command over security and all these things. So that's about security auditing thing. They generally audit and check for the vulnerabilities and smart contract. And user experience is like, you can design, if you are a designer and you just don't know development part, so hey, you can design, guys, you can design some good UI for UI UX for smart contract, oh sorry, the dapps which are there, because every dapps needs some kind of UI. So who is going to build that UI? Normal guys can do that. So even if you don't know anything about blockchain and development, like smart contract, anything you don't know, and you are into the design thing, so you can opt for UI for blockchain apps, basically for dapps. So basically these are all high paid opportunities which are in the blockchain. Like if you are getting 10,000 rupees for designing a website, you will get 20,000 rupees for the designing the same website for the blockchain, like same design, kind of same design on the blockchain, like for the dapps. So these are really cool thing. Scaling is like, suppose there are already protocols there like Polygon, Matic Network. I don't know if you guys have heard. So you can join as, if you don't know about blockchain, you can normally join mm, as a software engineer, where you can scale their solution, scale the protocols. So there is also need of normal front end and normal back end thing, where you need Node.js, Express.js, and all these things. And at last, the developing developer toolings. And I would say just the same thing comes under the scaling part also, where a normal person like you guys, like if you are working on the back end thing, you can join a good companies which are already in the crypto space, and build backends and the front end for those things. So that's all, folks. So these are the few opportunities which you can explore after this session. And if you guys have any query, just shoot it over right now, and I will drop my I will drop my LinkedIn profile or a Twitter profile to a Twitter account, and you can just ping me directly if you guys have any question related to the blockchain thing, and if you are looking any opportunities in the blockchain space, of course. So that's all, folks. I think the time is up, and we are already 10 minutes late. So if you guys have any question, like shoot it right now. I think you guys can mute right now. Sorry, unmute right now. and just chat with me. So guys, go on. Okay, let me check chat. What's this line for change of data? Okay, 2.5 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Okay, that is thing. Where is the information of transaction stored if there are no server? Okay, good question. Arunima, I think you attended yesterday's session. Yes, you were there. So those informations or transactions, all these things are stored on the blockchain. So what are blockchains? So blockchains are kind of, you can say, data structure or database which are stored on every node. So there are nodes. Basically, if you talk about, you are doing a transaction, right? So there are some nodes which are involved in the blockchain nodes, which compromises of the blockchain node. They are basically a fully running node. They are giving their own resources, their own computer, which is like more like kind of server thing, which you can say, because every node is a server in itself. So those data are stored there because there are multiple nodes connected in a network. So the same data is stored every node. So that's how the data is stored, like on every node that is connected on the network. So if you google out peer-to-peer technology, the same thing happens. Like, okay, Arunima, if you have used, I don't know if you have used torrent, right? So there in the torrent there is a feature of seeder and peers, or there is a term seeder, right? So the seeder, what they are, basically what they do, they upload some kind of data on, they provide some kind of data on the network. So if your network is connected on the torrent, you can upload anything, and those data will be distributed among all the peers, all the nodes that are connected in the torrent. So that's how torrent works, right? So torrent is kind of peer-to-peer network. There is no centralized server in the torrent, of course. So that's why there is there's a term health of a torrent, because the health defines like how much nodes are connected on those networks, and how much how much how many nodes contain those information. Like if you're downloading a movie, so those movie are stored on how many nodes that are connected on that network. So that is the thing. Satya is asking for transaction. Oh, okay. Sorry, man. I'll just sorry, team. I will just take 1 or 2 more minutes, and I will just show the transaction if you guys are okay with that. So hey guys, so this is the MetaMask wallet here over here. Uh, man. Okay. Can you see my MetaMask wallet? Please, anyone acknowledge this thing?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So this is a wallet kind of, you can say, which stores our cryptocurrencies on in a decentralized fashion. So I'll just unlock it. And yeah, you can see I have 77 ether. Okay, so you must be thinking like, hey Satyarth, you are too rich, you have 77 ethers in your account. But if you check, like here I am connected to Rinkeby test network. So if I click on the drop down, you can see Ethereum mainnet, Ropsten, Coven, Rinkeby, Gorley, Matic Mumbai, Matic Ganache, and all these things. So if you talk about the main Ethereum network, so this is the main Ethereum mainnet, which I was referring to, the main Ethereum network, main Ethereum blockchain. Okay, these all are the test network. You can see the, as the name defines, test network. So because if you want to do a transaction, you have to pay some gas fees, right? So you can't pay real gas fees when you are while you are testing your smart contract, while you are doing a random test network, like testing. So you can't afford to pay that much of amount when while testing an app. So that's why we have some different networks which are just copy of, these are some copy, you can say, same as the Ethereum original blockchain, but they doesn't cost, like the assets there doesn't have a real value. So these 77 ether is fake value. Even I can mint more. So uh, okay, cost. I will just make a transaction and I will show you guys. Okay. So this just remember this account 5. So account 5 have how much ether? 77, and I will just switch my account. I will switch to account 4, which have 0 ether. You can see account 5 have 77 ether and account 4 have 0 ether. So suppose like account 4 is mm, Jack or any name of, I don't know who is this. I just have this address. You can see 0x DA5 something dot 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 a. Some This is the public address which I will be going to transferring ETH. So you can see it has 0 ETH. What I did, I just copied the address, and I will just go on my account 5, and this is the address of my account 5, and I just want to send some ether. So to whom I want to send? So here I can do what I can paste the address with whatever I had copied. So this, I have just pasted the address of the account number 4, and suppose I have Ether, Matic, DAI, Wrapped ETH, Matic, DAI, and all these some tokens. So I just want to transfer one ETH, suppose. So I just want to transfer one ETH to account number 4. So if you remember, account number 4 had 0 Ether and account number 5 had 77 Ether. So if I transfer, if I'm okay, I'm going to transfer next. So you can see what the transaction is going to do. Like it is going to transfer one ether from account number 5 to account number 4, that is this address, and you can see I have to pay that much of ether as a gas fee. Like it is going to be updated every 10 seconds depending on the what is the supply and demand thing. So you can see it is written likely in less than 30 seconds. So guys, so it will take less than 30 seconds to get this transaction confirmed by the miners and uploaded on the blockchain. So this is the ether, or this is the gas price which I'm going to pay. And if you talk about the total value which I'm going to pay, because I'm transferring one ethereum, so one ether dot 000 itna 32 ether. So this is the total amount I'm going to pay, because you can see amount plus gas fees. So this gas fee will go into the account of miner who is going to mine my block. So once I will confirm, you can see like it is pending. Okay, I'll just click it over here and open on Etherscan. You can see um, this Etherscan. So you can see block is pending, timestamp is pending, transaction fees is pending, everything is pending. Okay, you can see, just guys, the status is pending. So just guys wait for 10 seconds, and you can see like all these value will be updated by the real value, because it will take some time. And you can see who is going to mine my block and all the values. You can see one ether, because it is $0 because it is a fake ether. So of course it is like that thing. And gas price is like this ether. So I'll just refresh the page again. Hey, so yes, uh, status is indexing. So you can see the page is refreshing, and my transaction is being indexed on the blockchain. So we have to wait one more minute, but the block is confirmed, like this is going to be the block number. So yes, success. You can see like it took 10 to 15 seconds, around 12 seconds in order to get my uh, my what transaction confirmation, right? The status success now, and block is this, and two block are confirmed since I did the transactions. And timestamp is like 50 seconds ago I did a transaction from where this is my public address, and two, this is the account number 4, and this is the address of account number 5. How much ether? One ether. Transaction fees is this much, and gas price is this much. So if you want to see more details, like gas price is like this much, gas limit, gas price, and all these things are like we don't want to see it, right? So if you share this page, this link with this link is accessible by everyone on the in the whole world. Like anyone can see this. But you can see the good thing about the blockchain is like no one can see what is the name of person who did the transaction and to whom he has transferred, how what is the name of transfer, what is the name of a person who has who is going to receive those value, right? Those assets. So if all the thing you can see is like this address, this cryptographic thing, you can see, you even you can't decode that thing. So this is the public address. So if you click on this, and you can see whatever transaction I have done till now, like this is my account detail, and I did a transaction of transfer, which is block number this 2 minutes ago from this out, because we are 1 ether I am sending to this address. I did 20 days ago, I did a transfer of in this much of ether. I did some days, I did transfer 18 ether and all these things. So I can see a whole history, but you can't see what is my name. Only you can see this transaction, sorry, this address. So this is the good advantage of, even you can see how much how much ether does I have in my wallet. You can see 76, because okay, let's check, guys, what is the status. So it was 76, now it is 70, so it was 77, now it is 76. And if we switch to account number 4, it had 0, but now it has 1 ether. So this is the power of blockchain. Like you can transfer any amount you want to transfer being anonymous, like no one can reveal your identity, like your name, age, or anything won't be revealed. You just, what you need is you just need some assets. So this was some kind of demo which I just showed you. So I hope more of the things are clear right now. So guys, now if you have any question, you can uh, ask me. I'll just stop my sharing. So anyone want to ask any question? Like, okay, I'll share the link of the roadmap which I talked about. Guys, wait a second. So what I did, I curated some resources, good resources for getting started with the blockchain. So I'll just paste in the chat. And so this is a thread which I made 5 to 6 months ago. Like this thread contains all the resources, good resources, I would say. You can even Google out. So these are some good resources through which you can get started with the blockchain. What is blockchain and what is Ethereum and all this thing, and from where you can learn Solidity and all these things. Okay. So I have got a good question. What if terrorists transact like this? So hey Satya, so yeah, terrorists transact like this. So you can't do anything. You can't do anything. You can't trace them down, right? Arunima is like, what logical programs or code do people run on Ethereum? Good question. So basically, if you talk about what logical programs or code they run on Ethereum, so the all the logical programs which I was referring to was is known as smart contract. So a smart contract is a kind of program, you can say, in which you write logic in Solidity language, and then what you do, you deploy that smart contract on Ethereum. Like I just showed you, I did a transaction of transferring. In the same fashion, in the same manner, I can deploy a code or deploy anything on Ethereum. Even I can upload a picture on Ethereum thing, Ethereum blockchain, right? So everything is in the form of transactions, and those are mined by blockchain miners, and they just get over on the blockchain. So that's all, folks. Like if you have more questions, just shoot it here right now. Sorry, I'm too tired right now because uh, I'm just talking from last 1 hour. So if you have any question, just shoot it here, or you can, what you can do, just go on the Twitter, and I'll just paste the link here in the chat box. You can DM me directly. Okay, so I'll just, if you have any question, I will just clear that word. Yeah. Okay, team. I think people don't have any question. I don't see any more questions. So
Okay, Tyad, for your valuable time. You have spent a valuable time with us. Thank you so much for your valuable information too. And thanks for the demonstration.
yeah, it was like the thing is like the the theory part is cool. Like, to be honest, the blockchain theory is cool, the technology is cool, but once you get in the visualization, and once you see all how these transactions are made, so these are more cooler than the theoretical part, because in the data scientist, data science, machine learning, you can't see something running like, hey, this is running and this is the thing. But in blockchain, everything is public. Like you can see who is transferring how much account, how much Ethereum, how much Bitcoin to whom. So this is something really cool. So even just the development part is more cooler. So so, so that is the thing. You can
Even we have enjoyed a lot learning this.
to be honest, blockchain is like cool thing. I would just recommend, if if you're not planning to make blockchain as your career, but what you can do, you can learn something about all these things like cryptocurrencies and all these NFT, DeFi, because guys, from if you talk about everyone, like even Elon, if you exclude Elon Musk, like your favorite actors like Salman Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, and all these actors are also getting involved in NFTs and DeFi. Suppose they have zero knowledge of blockchain development and all these things, but still they are getting involved in NFT and DeFi, because it's the demand of the industry. Like blockchain is the demand of the industry right now. Even if you don't know about blockchain, you can just start about the thing, and uh, just guys go and learn about blockchain. It is too cool, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, Shweta, go on.
Thank you, Satyat, for joining us, and thank you everyone for joining session. Guys, you'll get your certificates after the whole series of workshop. Hope you'll enjoy the series of workshop. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye bye. See you later. Bye.
Thank you, sir.